guys did a lot. No, the only thing I would add to that is one thing that we're exploring right now is the possibility of a smart TV being another entertainment device if Apple ever makes their Apple TV, the iTV or whatever they're going to call it. I mean, the opportunity is there is that you can still develop the same game for mobile and have that same app run on a similar platform like a TV, but get a different experience. So that's just something I'm trying to explore. I think the big obstacle right there is just trying to figure out what to do with controls and do you use your tablet, your iPad, or iPhone in conjunction with an Apple TV.
Is the name of the place down in Waterloo, like Kick or Flicker? They make it, basically their gigs or technologies that, yeah, their goal is, yeah, you can play a game on your phone. And basically toss it on your TV and play in the same universe, but it's a different kind of game. You're using your phone as a controller, but you obviously have a bigger world of the TV, not just a bigger screen, you're playing different games. And they're very much in that world and trying to deal with the unconventional screen and whatever we talked about it earlier. It's a good family experience too, so you can bring a lot of family.
Yeah, and that's, in my house, we still play Connect, like Friday nights with my 3 kids.
You're going to see a lot more of that. You're going to see a lot more Connect-like games, using your body as a controller, kind of tying all that wearables and how everyone was talking about as being more of control. So right now, Connect is only so good. So being able to put on a wristwatch or something like that, or something around your neck, and this way it really kind of can track you on a regular basis. You can see your progress. You're going to see things tie right into your television, where you're going, what you're doing, how you're doing it. Real life badges on the you're walking along the street and you see 10 things here or there or whatever it is, and you're going to see badges pop up right in front of you. This is all like Albert said it I think really well, and you did also. And we're just going to see a ton of this wearables and Connect like software that's really going to kind of.
Yeah, I want to touch on the whole transmedia / like cross-platform play. I think that's going to be huge. That's why we bet like a big Viking. I would say that we're 50% tech company, 50% game company. So we really focus 100% of our efforts on the technology side of HTML5. And the reason why we made this a sustained bet is because even though the technology is really nascent and difficult to develop on, it is, I think, really important because the expectation of players today will become such that if you're playing a game on your tablet or your phone, when you get back to your PC, you're going to expect the same type of experience. And currently, you can do that with native code on mobile devices. The problem is that it's extremely difficult to update a game on mobile the same way that you update it on a web environment. So for example, if you wanted to make up bi-daily updates or 3 updates a week on your game on the website, for you to do that on the mobile side, it's extremely difficult because of things like update fatigue. You don't want someone to download an update all the time, and also you simply can't do that for an iOS environment where you have a 2-week lag where Apple needs to approve it. HTML5 is a way to get past that, where you have a single code base and you have a shared experience across multiple devices. And just the concept of ubiquitous game and being able to have a browser that plays a game wherever you are. And that browser could sit in your glasses, it could sit in your fridge, it could be in your car, it could just basically be anywhere or your wristwatch. So having a shared code base that you can change and iterate against that then propagates everywhere in real time is going to be super, super important. So I think transmedia or trans-device program / game is going to be important.
I like to see someone make a hit game on those touchscreen fridges.
I was just going to say, fridge games are pretty.
Just stay in front of it and never leave the kitchen.
No? Well, I heard. Question, Ed, you?
I guess for Albert, just you had mentioned something about how you think tablets, I guess, are going to outrun consoles, or it seems like that's your standpoint on it. But you mentioned graphics, but I find the consoles one of the more appealing parts, not necessarily the higher end graphics to a tablet, but the processing speed and the memory, because cloud systems up to date have been pretty, I guess in 2 years it'll definitely improve, but cloud systems up to date have been somewhat unreliable or glitchy or have memory space issues, whereas
No, I'm not talking about cloud systems on the tablet. I'm simply referring to the fact that like my iPhone 5 is already very competitive to an Xbox, right? Like in terms of processing and graphics speed. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about OnLive, which has, like this whole cloud gaming thing is totally different than what I'm referring to.
But what I'm saying is with the tablet games and stuff like that, you won't be able to get as wide of like an expansive game as you could on a console. For example, like games like Skyrim or Halo or Call of Duty, you wouldn't be able to get all that universe onto a tablet even within 3 years.
I think the argument is, let's presume that even if you could, I believe the argument should be, I could put Call of Duty on a tablet, but I don't want to say why. It's more of, look, when I use my tablet, I'm playing different kind of games because I'm on a bus or I'm sitting at my desk or I'm not in an immersive 5.1 surround. You know, I've got my headset on, my whatever, and I'm sitting in for 8 hours on a Friday night. It's the consumption is different. That's why I need different games on my mobile phone than I do when I sit on my couch.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting like the next Call of Duty 6 is going to be tablet only. I'm suggesting that the tablets 3 to 4 years from now, the actual hardware, the amount of polygons it can render on screen, and the resolution, or the whatever it is, the graphical benchmark that you want to use, the practical, real-world difference between a tablet 4 years from now and the Xbox One will be negligible.
And it's already, I just got a Surface Pro last week, which is wonderful and super powerful and great. It's heavy as all put out, and its battery life is about 18 minutes. So it is like I have a desktop in my hand. It's great. I would never carry it around and try to use it as a tablet, though. It's still not quite there, but it's definitely. All right. Anyone else? Question? Something? You?
Me?
Don't embarrass us, Chris.
Okay, you guys mentioned wearables as more of a Google Glass and like a watch, so that's more something you're going to have on you at all times, hypothetically anyways. So more
Which is to say,
casual.
aware.
So how,
Just for a throw bomb.
it works. Okay, so Oculus Rift and like Mayo armband that picks up muscle movement, where do you see that, if at all, in the gaming industry for more virtual reality hardcore gamers?
So body augmentation is a
Yeah.
controller.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
Welcome to
head
our rest of the
orientation.
future. It is going to be nerd answer. You're excited about this. No, well, sorry, you guys can answer. I don't want to live in a world where that's the thing. Well, let's face it, I'm not going to live that long. And not because it's 100 years from now, but because it's like 3 years from now.
It's definitely possible. I mean, you see the demonstrations, and it's pretty intriguing. Just the finite amount of control you can get, probably better than standing in front of a Kinect sensor. Right. I mean, the Kinect sensor is pretty cool because it's just so heavy being attached to it. It's not very accurate for a lot of the fine movements that I'm seeing with that particular device you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it's picking up on just every little movement that you do have.
It's also Canadian, by the way.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, yeah, this is something to be explored. I as a current developer right now, just focusing on mobile. As a gamer alone, I'm hoping that consoles don't go away right away, and that we do have much larger experiences. At the same time, I kind of fear what happened to the arcade era, or just arcade games, and going to the local arcades. Those kind of went away because things just got bigger, and they were trying to create these new experiences, and it just got more and more expensive. So I'm for anything as long as they just remember what gaming's all about. It's about creating these new experiences and don't make it out of people's reach.
Oh, wait a minute. I don't like it.
I guess going off of like what you guys were saying about how you think like wearable controller kind of things are going to be more popular and you're going to see more of them, at which point would it become kind of redundant to be playing a video game with all this wearable equipment as opposed to just doing something?
So playing a soccer game where you actually have to run around,
Yeah,
kick
yes.
something.
Like frankly, the Kinect system doesn't really appeal to me. I just like the appeal of me happens in the game anyway. It's just sitting around his buddies, drinking and playing games and stuff like that. But
It may be that it's part,
I
you know,
understand.
as I say, it could be that the experience is not to try to play soccer, something that's easy to do. It could be something where you're actually, no, I'm also not going to be a combat guy, you know, as a Navy SEAL strike team trying to kill a dude. I don't do that often. So it'd be more of an immersive experience, a different sort of.
I think that when you talk about like the wearables, it's something that it may not be more into the hardcore gaming, but more into the actual social gaming.
It's the whole quantified self thing, right? Like the fact that it's measuring you all the time, and like how can you change fitness and health turn it into a game and more social event.
It's you know, talking about that geo-targeting and geolocation, and you know talk about that social, you know, I badged up here, I did this here, I did that here. You know, the fitness side, you know, you're seeing a lot of this fitness, you know, gamifying fitness it's a huge market right now, and these.
Does that have to do with education also?
Yeah. So you know, now you're gonna see, you know, it measures how much you sleep, like when you're in REM, when you're, you know, what time you should be waking up. So you're actually gonna see, like, you know, achievements and things that it's a different kind of gameplay. It's not that hardcore gameplay where you're gonna sit down with a controller with your buddies and have pizza and play Xbox and you know, play, you know, N64.
N64.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, like,
Somebody
you know, like
play
NHL, you're not going to sit down with your buddies and play NHL or Call of Duty or any of that stuff. It's going to be involved in this social, gamified manner of wearables where it's fitness, exercise, geo-targeting.
It's not meant to be like an input device. It's an input device in the sense that it's capturing, like some of the new sensors that are coming out now actually are able to detect things inside your bloodstream without actually plugging something into your bloodstream. And it's pretty incredible. So you're able to do like things like oxygen level in your bloodstream. And so when we say wearables, it's not really about like actually using it for like some sort of sports game. It's just at the end of the day, you get a report saying, you know, your friend Joe has ran 14, you know, minutes more than you today, and his oxygen level is blah blah blah, and your zombie that is a representation of you has done this, that, and the other thing, using sort of bodily inputs into like virtual characters, or whatever it is. So it's not meant to be like a core, you know, input device. But going back to the Oculus Rift thing and the Mayo thing. So the Mayo is really interesting as a technology piece. I think it's going to be a niche device. It's going to be really cool for certain, especially vertical applications like business applications, where you need to be hands-free. But the Oculus Rift is an interesting throwback to the Virtual Boy, which I hope it doesn't end up being like the Virtual Boy. I hope it does take off. And for those of you that don't know what Oculus Rift is, it's just a VR goggle at a really low price. And the current version that I use, the developer version, is pretty shitty still, but it's okay because it'll only get better. And when it does get better, I think what's going to be really interesting is when they connect that with Kinect, so that, I don't know how many of you guys have seen the YouTube video where they use a Kinect with the Oculus Rift so that you can see your hands. So when you lift up your hands in the world, you can actually see your hands, which is pretty awesome for obvious reasons, because now you can like shoot guns and strangle people and punch people in a VR environment.
I will guarantee you that within 5 minutes, the first motion you see is this.
That is a $1 million opportunity.
Guaranteed. Oh, sorry.
If anyone wants to do business opportunity, there you go.
No, porn trumps everything. That's just the way life is. Look good, Nick. What's your question?
The question is, this is quite an industry, am I right?
You're right.
But what is the weakest link?
That's not
Looking right at it. Okay, I think that's a real question.
Well, it could be.
No,
I had to think on my toes.
Let's go on to a different
I
question.
think he's better.
I'm the
That guy just looks pretty goofy.
That was pretty good though. Better than what this guy came with. Sure. I mean, yes, go ahead.
So with all these wearable, with all the wearable concepts that are coming out and all the apparatus that's going to be involved, where do we draw the line as to when our games have become our life? Like our games have become our lifestyle, right? At that point where it's just like we're tracking like, oh, how many meters you ran today, or you know, how your body's doing.
Has that not already started?
It has.
Do you not play World of Warcraft?
Where do we draw this line?
Has that not started for you? I mean, with Foursquare and Facebook check-ins and all that kind of crap that you're doing on a regular basis?
It doesn't?
And it's cool. You know why it's cool? Because it actually helps us. Like, the fact that I use an app called Move on my iPhone, and it tracks basically everywhere I go. And it tracks how many steps, how many steps I walked, how many steps I ran, or how far I've run. And it actually motivates me to walk more so I can beat my score from last week. Like, and things like I want to be able to have like a record of how many kilometers I run this week versus last week. And it doesn't have social yet, but it'll be cool when it's social. But that's just one sort of motivational thing for me to stay healthy. But the other piece is that these devices also have preventative health benefits. So for example, like being able to predict when you're going to have a heart attack, because like it's actually able to detect things in your bloodstream that can detect, hey, like, look, you probably should go see a doctor. Or, hey, look, you should probably stop drinking.
It's also sometimes pretty obvious. It doesn't make you stupid.
We've been kind of involved in a project of Universidad de Monterrey in Mexico, and they were very interested in starting to develop technology that uses Kinect and the bloodstream measure system for advertising or for training
Oh, wait a minute, I want to know about
and
that.
how to deal with stressful situations in a safe environment. And they are going to be, especially in advertising, a lot of feedback that they will be receiving from you for the way you react if you get nervous, or if you get anxious, or if you're happy, or
Aroused.
Aroused.
so it's going to, I don't know, either improve our lives in another lot of aspects, and in others, I don't know, they will be receiving information from you and use it against you or not. They will be making better advertising.
So an interesting idea is that also just kind of talking about like Albert's, they can test things in your bloodstream and you can kind of know when you're going to have a heart attack. Like here in Canada, we're doing a ton of stuff with EMRs, like EHRs, like electronic health records. It's like that's the type of stuff where all of a sudden you can tie that right into your electronic health record. You can monitor your system. They can give you warnings on a regular basis. Or if go see a doctor, your blood pressure is pretty high. Maybe go get a massage, do something. But it's now tracking, and it's all electronic. It's all there. It's all readily available for your doctor or your nurse or whoever you're going to see, naturopath in some cases.
You can gamify that too, right? So that's the cool thing. It's like you went to your medical exam four quarters in a row. You get 500 points, and you can redeem those 500 points for like a Happy Meal. That will, or French fry. I don't know. Or KFC. But like these point systems, gamifying your health, is actually incredibly useful for insurance companies and companies that in the U.S. your company pays for your health care, right? And that's kind of a huge expense.
No more lying on your health or on your insurance application. You're a smoker.
So it's not just that, but like your company could give you incentives to play this game, this health game, for you to make sure you keep a healthy lifestyle so that they don't have to pay higher premiums. So
The biggest problem we have, and we've actually gone through this at one of the Ontario Center of Excellence discussions on EHRs and stuff. It's actually, the privacy isn't the biggest problem. People, are actually quite willing to actually put their private information out in the cloud or whatever. It's more of the biggest thumb wrestle is between the practitioner and the user. So if I go in and get an X-ray, my doctor actually wants to own that. I'm not allowed to. So it's actually tough for me to actually get an X-ray that I can take somewhere else. That's the thumb wrestle that's happening. It'll eventually get solved where people realize my body is my own IP and you don't know me, Mr. Doctor, I do, and testify, and I'll be fine. That's actually the biggest problem that thing has. But speaking of regional differences, clearly this panel is not enough, and that's fine. We'll do whatever we want. Next question, Wally. If you come to my session, I know you. I will ask you for a question.
What's your favorite beer?
Oh, God. First of all, it's a good question. But second,
I don't drink beer.
most regular guys pretty good. Creemore, we were just discussing Creemore. The skunk of Ontario is one of my favorites. We had Pilsner in the Sweet last night, which was my abusable beer when I was in high school back in the day.
And if you weren't there, he was forcing Jaeger and beer.
Jaeger,
try that.
Old school Jaeger bombs, not this Red Bull crap. It's Jaeger into a glass of beer. That's a Jaeger bomb. It's red bullshit as kids today with your video games and your electronic health records. Next, anybody, come on. Phil. Oh, wait, you're getting saved if you need to. The life preserver's coming out.
Hamburgers or pizza?
We actually have crossed over into the dark side. The answer is both. Susan also has a question, but we had one up here now first.
I haven't formulated the question, but I want to talk about gamification a bit. Not in health, because there's a lot of talk of health. I still question the financial gains that would drive funding in that area. It's tough funding. If you can get it from insurance companies, great. Otherwise, everybody's poor in health. But there's tons
Or is
of
everyone
opportunity.
in poor health? Or is everyone
Both.
poor? Okay. You see how you did that? You just flew my mind. I'm throwing you off. What's your question?
So I'm just curious about gamification. I just heard some startling statistics here this last couple of days about the average revenue generated per game, and certainly I know the cost exceeds that. So are studios looking to seek out corporate accounts to help offset the traditional, build a game and try to sell it, try to get up, a successful burst, make great revenue, hope that the model all works and that you're one of the success stories? Can that be offset by seeking out corporate accounts at all different companies here? It seems like it's a potential explosion. I'm just wondering, are people thinking about that?
Like, are you going to like big brands and pitching a game idea?
I don't even know if you need big brands. Like in Canada, we're not big companies, but I think there's tons of, compared to $2,500, there's a lot of businesses that can spend $100,000, and you don't need to be a big company to spend that. So, is there opportunity?
You're talking about not games themselves, but like gamified, some sort of
That's right.
more of the apps or gamified app space or something. Can you not worry about the consumer play, but actually try to do a business play where I'm selling something to? I was going to say Nortel.
So for example, like we launched an app which is a peer-to-peer social betting application. And in the application, we actually have what's called a global bet system. So we push out bets live to the users, and they can, bet on the product or bet on the idea that we're talking about. So one of the ideas behind that was going to, local companies, and when you come into that area, we push out a bet that's live to these individuals based on the geographic area that they're in. And this is like instant analytics. So for example, I'm just going to give UFC has a major fight. So, they know what the sports cards and what the Vegas cards are saying, but they don't know what everyone else is kind of saying. So now here's an example where you can push out this bet. It's like, okay, George St. Pierre versus Ortiz. And also you're getting real instant feedback from users who just love the sports. And this is something that can tie right into the event. You're getting instant feedback right on the spot. And it's, that's just another way of gamifying, an idea. But that's just, an app that we've built, and we kind of tried to gamify and socialize the oldest act of human nature, which is betting.
Second one.
What?
Second one.
Okay, you're right. Sorry. First one's
Better on sex.
That was the third one. Okay, so everybody's happy with that?
Well, I'm curious across, because we're talking
Oh,
about
well,
the
shit,
regions.
now
So
it's conditions. Oh, sure, now it's
even
just
if we're in it, we're here to talk about the regions.
We are.
Anybody,
well-
if you don't have anything to add, don't say.
Yeah, well,
No
Well,
pressure.
at Appy, we pretty much focus on games, and we've been approached by different corporations for some enterprise projects that we just haven't turned down just because I don't think we're really qualified for them. I think it's just a good way of supplementing the cash flow, for any company. If they want to get a chance to make a hit game, anything helps. One thing that we do now that we didn't do before is we're taking on outside work, so we are work for hire too at the same time. So it's giving us a bit of a longer runway to actually one day do our own hit. But yeah, that's not uncommon. I think that's just a worldwide thing. You go where the money's at, and for us, again, we were bootstrapped, and we were hoping that the first couple of games would do it. But 4.5 years later, we got 23 million downloads, but no one's paying paying us. So you do what you can, and then as a business, you're always looking for ways to bring in the cash.
Well, when we started, we really wanted to make games, and we thought it would be easier to work with advertising, biggest thing in the world. And we actually, for a couple of months, got to pitch to a lot of different companies. Some of them were for education, for others, actually we worked as consultants, for example, for the Latin Disney Channel on how to work with the games that they were actually inviting children to play, and then they will televise the show. And then we also, I don't know, pitched with companies like Heineken on how to also make a game out of, that time was the Rugby World Cup, where you were actually not trying to interfere with the experience of, you know, like rugbyers, they go all together like in a pack to a bar and they sit together and they do stuff together and they enjoy the match together. So it was a way of introducing some gaming experiences where we would like them to do stuff around the week before the match and after the match and stuff like that. And also, I don't know, with a Canadian company actually, it's a mining company in Argentina. They really wanted to educate the workers that are using like heavy machinery in another way than making them read like these huge manuals.
So gamifying the act of
Studying.
the risk or the studying?
I just want to pull my game. I want to know what it's like to get the black lung and keep working in incredibly hot conditions.
Well, it's worse. In Argentina we have like open sky mine.
Strip mines.
Yeah, so they blow up a whole part of the country and then they pollute everything.
There you go.
It's an excellent thing.
So, I don't know, we've been trying to have like this kind of epic win games for health and also for children to do more chores at home, where you will, I don't know, give them more hours in front of the TV if they do this and that.
It's gamified crappy work.
Yeah. There is actually an app called Epic Win that is wonderful. It's like, did you do the dishes?
We're doing an aggregates loan for a large cleaning organization to promote and kind of understand and educate individuals about bacteria and dirt.
So you're throwing turd instead of birds?
We're throwing janitors at dirt and bacteria.
Not turd.
No.
Because angry turds would have been the perfect. What the hell are you doing here? Come on, man.
But I think it's an interesting idea. They have a major industry show every year in Vegas and Chicago, and this is something they're going to put out to their suppliers and give them an opportunity to kind of promote their brands as well. And it's just a form, just kind of talking about your question there. It's a way of gamifying the act of educating yourself around cleaning.
So I fundamentally disagree with the premise of the question, because I think that the game industry. No, sorry. So you mentioned the sort of maybe not the premise, but it's the idea that there's a lot of games where the cost is exceeding the revenues, and I'm just going to extrapolate that as it's difficult to make a profitable game. I agree, but at the same time, I think there has never been a more interesting opportunity to create profitable games with very low costs, with the fact that you got things like Clash of Clans, which makes a ludicrous amount of money, but was effectively created by 5 guys at the beginning and it's up to 10 people now. And I didn't believe it when the article first came out, and I contacted the GM and he verified for me that it was actually 5 guys that created a game that now generates, I don't know, how many hundreds or millions of dollars, 100,000. It's not the 100,000. It's like around $1 million or more a day, right, across all their platforms. It's 5 guys that built that game in something like 8 months or 12 months, right? So there are incredibly profitable opportunities still for talented and lucky developers, and there are a lot of talented and lucky developers out there that never would have had these sort of opportunities in terms of ROI and distribution mechanisms before the App Store, before mobile blew up. So I think that, generally speaking, like, there are a lot of opportunities still.
Well, there's opportunities. I think the point, though, is, and you would know just as good as anybody, Clash of Clans, absolutely huge success. That's great. There have been, I'm going to say, roughly 300,000 apps released to the App Store since then. Not made up number, like over 300 days, 1,000 apps a day. 300,000 apps going to the App Store. Not a lot of them are making $1 million a day. Yeah. In fact, 299,900 of them probably don't make a lot of money. Which I think is just a different point. The opportunity is there, to your point, but to your point, yes, realistically, most games do not make money.
But it was really
cool. I think the point I was sort of trying to lead towards is that the opportunity for surefire revenue. We talk about household chores and health benefits and those kind of interesting things that are relevant to people. There's also a whole category that people will pay for. There is an audience that, if they're not aware of it today, they're going to be interested in paying. And I'm wondering if the studios are gaming up for it.
No, they are, through the things like the gamification stuff that we briefly touched on here. You absolutely, they do it. The markets are there. People are creating stuff. But just like, yeah, gaming is a market where people can make a lot of money. All the markets can make money, and some will and some won't. Everybody in this room is great. I'm not shutting you down. I'm just saying, yeah.
I believe that a problem that is not only for gamification and I think that interesting people and also games in general is that you need exposure to be successful. So even though I start working with a team of people and develop an app for chores for children and stuff like that, nobody will know it exists. So that is why generally there is brands or companies associated with this kind of products, let's say, and maybe they are not as good as they should because they either don't have the money or they don't have the time because it's for a show next week in Las Vegas. It's something that you have to work around. It's not like a priority to them, and mainly the publishers and developers are working on other kinds of games. I mean, everything that has to do with chores or I don't know, designing your bedroom or whatever. It's always something sponsored. It's either the Geo channel or something like that.
I think the category is called branded media.
Yeah,
because
it's more like
branded, which is subset will be branded.
We will do our last. Were you asking a question or are you yawning?
No, I was going to ask a question.
You go either way. Here's the question. You will lead the last question.
Oh, wow.
A few minutes left, so we'll do the last question and a few closing remarks from Pat, and we'll call it that. So this better be good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, well,
you need a little more time to make the question.
Drum roll. Okay. So, sadly, it's just a follow-up. No, actually, it's in the interest of branded media, and I think that if you see things like on like BuzzFeed and sites like that, they're doing like the same content that they've been doing, 15 life hacks for such and such brought to you by Clorox, and you see it just like in their normal feed, because those companies are realizing people are here and they want this free content that's entertaining. I think that there is a huge market there for games.
I know where you're going with the question. That is a good question.
Yeah.
I barely followed that. I like it though. I will only put in our little 2 cents, which is we did a couple of what you would call advert games or branded entertainments or whatever we call them. The funniest part is, and we sort of had this discussion earlier as well, it's funny because the brands are the only people who are actually funding game development to a large degree. Like publishers aren't doing it. Again, there are exceptions, these things like that. But the old model used to be publishers paid for stuff, developers made it, never made royalties, publishers did what they needed to do, that's fine. They don't advance money anymore, but brands do all the time. So if I am a brand, I am the whatever Clorox guy, I want to create a Clorox game. You'll have to, the best way to do that is to go to a real game studio and say, yep, create a game that is actually game first, that incorporates a brand in a meaningful way. Do a good engagement that way, and that's fine. Everybody can make money that way. Unfortunately, most of the time it's not that. A brand guy says, who doesn't understand what gaming is, says, I'm the Clorox guy. I got $1 million to do a game. It needs to be called Clorox the game. And it's going to have to include our new bottle. Yeah. Because that's what it is. And the brand can never be viewed from the side. And like they put in all the traditional things they need in advertising into the game, and it makes the game a shitty game. And that's why advertising games are typically shitty.
I saw in Barcelona some dinosaurs in the train station, so I want the Clorox and the dinosaurs.
Yeah, no, it's sometimes it's not even appropriate.
These ideas.
And they never want it viewed in a bad light. Because if I was making a Clorox game, I would be like, I've killed a hooker and I need to dispose of the body. Bleach and lye or whatever, I'm going to put it into the tub. And that would be a great game. But there's no way Clorox would say, that isn't exactly how we're promoting it. It kind of works, but you're still a lot of food.
You can always do the Breaking Bad method and acid.
It's a really good point. I mean, there's so many, the budgets that are in brands are so huge and are so ineffectively deployed. And when you think about the amount of money that people spend on magazine ads that are not measurable and are glossed over, and how much it costs, you can take that one-page magazine ad on Glamour or wherever, GQ, and put it into a game. And you know, you may not get the same reach, but in your target audience, you may be able to engage them for like half an hour, or like, you know, 3 months, and it can be viral, right? Not viral in the sense that it's going to blow up to 50 million players, but viral within that person's social network, which is more than likely to be high affinity to the brand, because people that, you know, that like wear Nikes will typically have other friends that wear Nikes. That's a bad example, everyone wears Nikes. But the point is that the dollars spent in ad buys today, traditional media today, is not measurable and it's wasted, and games actually could be a very good venue for those dollars to go towards, and it is happening.
There you go. Okay, so we actually are pretty much all out of time, but we have, I'm going to say 17 seconds each to wrap up your comment. And then when we're done here, we're going to move the 5:30 closing thing was going to be here. We're going to do it next door. But anyway, close it up. 17 seconds.
Well, that's right. I really was very impressed about the whole conference and the quality.
Hey, we got a topic!
No, really. You have a wide variety of games. I mean, you have social games and you have poker games and everything else. You have 2D, 3D students with really beautiful art animation. You actually have lots of platforms that you can work with, you can choose. So I believe that us, community of game developers, we should be proud of it.
It wasn't about blowing smoke up our ass, but I like that you did it anyway. It's good.
Because, no, but I don't know, I don't want to bring again the tiny violin, but being the eye in the international, it's difficult when you work in different parts of the world and you have to all the time figure out the way you are consuming in Canada or in the US. You are here, you already know your market.
I'll go 17 seconds. I haven't said the F word, so fuck.
Oh.
I know what I was going to say. Also, yeah, it's on tape. Just also, I gotta completely take an opportunity that this coming summer we're going to launch one of our titles called Office Attacks. It's all about kicking ass to your coworkers that are trying to piss you off or stress you out. It's going to be fucking amazing. It's going to be awesome. Please download it. Please support us. And just keep allowing us to do what we need to do and create entertaining games and awesome games.
That is cheap. Not only what? No, I like it. But you even went over with your shameless plug. Anyway.
I share Martina's sentiments. Flying all the way from San Diego, and was contacted just 4 months ago to participate. I really didn't know what to expect. San Diego is a pretty small gaming community, and you know we're often looked down on from LA and San Francisco. So yeah, we're the ass of California. So that's my little island. But you know they're no different than anyone else in the world. You know, in Seattle, same thing. They have a big gaming community, and I came here, and it's just like any other gaming community. Everyone has the same dreams and same successes and same failures, same problems, and same happiness. It's no different anywhere in the world, and I'm not surprised.
Okay, very good. All right, Alan, take us home, buddy.
Yeah, just quick props on the conference. This is awesome. We also are hiring in Toronto and also in Ontario. Just as an FYI, in case someone didn't know that we were hiring. But my serious and final point is that for those of you that are in Ontario, or even Canada, but especially in Ontario, you guys have no excuse not to win. I mean, we absolutely have the most fantastic support system in the world, and we're probably one of the best talent pools in the world. And if you guys don't win, you know, I'm sorry, it's your fault.